Hello everyone, and welcome to Puff Time, a time where I sit down, smoke a cigarette, kill my lungs, and talk about what's on my mind. In today's Puff Time, I have a fresh pack of cigarettes, and I actually have like a notebook with stuff. This topic I've been doing a lot of thinking about for the past couple of years, actually. Not just doing a YouTube video, but I've been working on it in my life. But it is anger. And I know that anger is a big topic for me to take on because it's a big thing. A lot of people deal with anger in different ways. There is no generalization when it comes to anger. A lot of people, when they think of anger, they think of blind rage and throwing things, hitting things, fighting. They typically think physical anger. When we were younger, anger was portrayed in like a really tough person with smoke coming out of their ears and their face turning beet red and them getting really loud and yelling. That was how anger was portrayed. But that is not anger at all, actually. It's a form of, but there's also quiet anger, where it's repressed in your mind and you hold on to it and it grows inside of you and destroys you. There's that kind of anger. There's also like positive anger, where if you're protesting something that you're heavily against. So there's different kinds of anger, and I know that. So this video is probably going to be longer than my normal puff times, and I know you may be thinking, longer? Your normal puff times are like 20 minutes. That's pretty long. But I might even break this down into segments and talk about specific types of anger, and then kind of upload them individually or all together. I don't know yet. I'm going to check that out when I do the editing process. So I've been going through an actual workbook, which I do recommend workbooks if you're trying to tackle certain... Really? Can you please, like, shoot another time? Thanks. And keep in mind that this has been me going through a workbook. And the thing that I like about workbooks is they're very personal. Workbooks kind of ask you questions straightforward, like, how would you respond? What do you think about this? It's not just, hey, here's how I think, here's how it should be, blah, blah, blah. It's actually kind of a way for you to express. And I'd recommend picking up workbooks if you want to work on different parts of you or different aspects of your, emotions. I would recommend going and picking up a notebook and a workbook and just writing stuff down. But yeah, so let's begin. The anger workbook. All right. Now here's the thing that I like about, when I take notes, I usually write down things that are important and meaningful to me. This is why I recommend getting one, because what is meaningful to me may not be meaningful to you individually, but this ultimately is things that mean something to me. So here's my take on it, I guess. Alright, first and foremost, anger is an emotion that is common in every person. So everyone experiences anger. When there's people who tell you, nah, I don't really get angry, they're lying to you, because anger is an emotion, and every single person has anger in them. Whether it's aggressive anger or passive anger, it's anger. Are you kidding me? See, there's some anger right there. Stop shooting stuff. We are imperfect. In an imperfect world, we are guaranteed to regularly encounter this emotion. Okay? And that's a big one for me, because you know me and my perfection bit. This world is not perfect. Nobody in this world is perfect. So of course we're going to encounter anger, because, somebody may cut you off when you're driving down the highway. And hey, I don't know about you, but I've got road rage, like ridiculous road rage, and I get really pissed off. So there's that anger. People are going to do you wrong in this world, and that ultimately, when people do you wrong, what are you going to feel? Angry? Yeah. Or sad, but ultimately, I get pretty angry when people do me wrong and when people piss me off, because it's like, what in your right mind makes you think that what in your right mind makes you think that pissing me off is okay? or talking to me that way is okay. It's not. And I think that kind of comes in play with the boundaries aspect, because in order to maintain healthy relationships, you've got to set boundaries. You've got to let people know where they can push and where they cannot push. And I think that's a big one. And a lot of people lose that and don't set healthy boundaries in relationships. And that's why relationships fail, because they lack boundaries and communication on boundaries. Anger is not one-dimensional. It is multifaceted, therefore it should not be stereotyped. It can be found in any temperament. I mean, there's, shy people get angry, extroverted people get angry, perfectionistic people get angry, laid-back people get angry. All those kinds of emotions or people or types of people can show anger. It's not one-dimensional. It's not just like a one thing. It's not like anger is just rage quit. Anger can be any type of emotion and can be expressed by any type of person. I mean, like I put down, extroverted people. People who like to be open and out with others can easily express anger, just like introverted people who are quiet and prefer to not be around people. Both of those people have breaking points and snapping points, and they will fire at you and be angry. It happens. Everyone is capable of showing anger. Now this is where it gets a little personal. These are various manifestations of anger that I have. I'm just going to read these off, and these may not apply to you, but like I said, workbooks are very personal things. So, 1, I nurture critical thoughts quite easily. So basically that means that if somebody criticizes me or somebody tells me something that's critical of me, I'm going to get angry about it. Now, that's not to say that I'm not open to criticism, but if somebody outright, blatantly criticizes me of something that I don't feel is wrong, and they do it in a condescending way, I'm going to get angry. I get a little peeved when people are like, you're going to go to hell because you're gay. Well, of course I feel like I'm not, because I don't feel like it's wrong. So of course I'm going to get angry at you if you try and shove that down my throat. Yes. 2, when I am displeased with someone, I may shut down any communication or withdraw. Typically, if I'm mad, I'm going to stop talking to you, or I'm going to coil up in my own shell, and I'm just going to remove myself from the situation. Because I'm just I don't want to deal with you. Can you not? Go away. 3, I feel inwardly annoyed when family and friends do not comprehend my needs. Now that is a big one, because needs, wants, and desires are 3 things that are very, very prominent in anybody. Everybody has needs, everybody has wants, and everybody has desire to be treated a certain way. And if they're not, those needs aren't met, then that can cause anger. And of course, I'm going to get annoyed when people don't see that, because everybody has different needs. And it may partially be my fault, because I might not be completely vocal with them about my needs, because sometimes I expect my needs to be respected when I don't even announce them. And sometimes I can get tricky, because I'm not one to be like, hey, so I need this to happen, and I need to be treated this way. Can you do that? Because I'm not good at letting people know verbally. I'm good at letting people know by my actions. I'll just completely shut down, shut off, and stop speaking sometimes when I'm offended, and people will be like, what's wrong with you? And I'll just be like, nothing. Because sometimes I don't feel like breaking it down for people, because I feel like they should know by now that's how I am, But making assumptions like that is never a good thing, because ultimately, if you make those assumptions, you know what they say about assuming makes an ass out of you and me, because if you assume something about somebody and you don't actually go to them and ask them about it, then you may be in the wrong and so are they. So why would you do that when you could just talk to them about it, But it's easier said than done. What isn't? So, 4, sometimes I walk in another direction to avoid seeing someone I don't like. I think a lot of people do that. If you see somebody that you don't want to talk to, or you don't want to associate with anymore, or that you're just tired of their shit, typically you're going to walk the other way. You're not going to go running up to them like, hey, how's it going? You pissed me off. I don't like you. Don't talk to me. You're going to avoid them. And that's the big thing about anger, is there's an avoidance there, because we want to avoid people who piss us off. We want to get out of the line of fire when somebody is coming our way that we know is going to say something ignorant or do something ignorant and make us feel like shit. Because who wants to feel like shit? No one. I can't pick out anybody who would want to feel like shit. Even masochistic people, they don't want to feel like shit about themselves. Who does? 5. I can accept a person who admits their mistakes, but I have a hard time accepting someone who refuses to admit their own weakness. Oh my god. Yeah. That one's pretty self-explanatory. If somebody admits that they're in the wrong or admits that they did something in an inappropriate way, I can accept that. I'm like, okay. I mean, we all have our problems. We all do things that we regret. We all have things that we did that maybe we feel that could have been handled differently. But when someone is just like in denial and refusing to admit that they did something wrong or a weakness of theirs, not necessarily a weakness, I don't like using that because some people have weaknesses that they don't exactly like making prominent to people. They don't like being like, hey, so this is my weakness. I'm just going to disclose that to you so you can use it against me. I understand that because I'm that way too. I don't like people to think I'm weak in any aspect. I like people to think that I'm a strong person and that I can handle myself when sometimes I really cannot. So, but I do have a hard time with that when people refuse to admit that they're in the wrong, or at least refuse to admit that they could have done something in a different way, a less offensive way. Those people who are always like, yeah, I'm always right. I never do anything wrong. It's like, shut up and sit down, please. Alright, 6. I don't easily forget when someone does me wrong. And I really don't. I've talked about this before, but my thing is, it's like, I don't like to hold grudges, because grudges can destroy you. Grudges can make you bitter and make you a miserable person. There's that famous, like, whatever, let your past make you better, not bitter. And that's true. I mean, if you hold on to things in such a way that you let it destroy you, then it's going to do just that. It's going to destroy you, and it's going to take away from what you could be doing with your life. So, yeah. I don't really hold grudges. Now, I'm not a forgive and forget type of person either. I can be very forgiving. Like, if you do me wrong, I'll give you a second chance. Hell, I'll give you like 6 chances. Like, I will literally give people so many chances. I'll give people way more chances than they need. And I'll be really nice about it. But ultimately, I don't forget, because I don't believe in that forgive and forget stuff. Because if you forgive someone and forget it, then you're going to get hurt again, because people don't typically change just because of one thing. So I like to forgive, but I tend to remember, because in remembering I learn from that, and I learn what I don't want in a relationship, not just dating, but friendship-wise, any type of relationship. If you do me wrong, I can forgive you. I can. It might take me a little while sometimes, but ultimately I will forgive you, and I don't want, I want to bury the hatchet. I don't want any animosity. But I'm not going to forget how you did me. I'm not going to forget that you did me wrong, and I'm not going to forget the way you treated me, because it reminds me, and it makes me more cautious in the future. And I think that's a good thing to learn from, instead of just blindly going into every single relationship like, yeah, I'm going to trust everyone 100%. You shouldn't do that, because most of the time people are just out for themselves, and they're not out for you. So you got to be careful. 7. I can be quite aggressive in my business pursuits, or even when playing a game just for fun. This is my competitive side. If I'm losing a game, even if it's like Wii bowling, I get really pissed off. And that's probably really immature and stupid, but I really do. If I'm losing something, and it even says like in my business pursuits, like at work when I had my job, I would get really pissed off if something happened that like totally just blew me out of proportion. When people just completely assumed things or did things that were not of my consent, and I would get really pissed off because it was like, wow, okay, did you even consider me? No, you probably did not. 8. I struggle emotionally with things in life that are not fair. This is a big one because I'm a Libra, okay? And if any of you know anything about the zodiac scales, the zodiac, you would know that Libra is the scales. Libra is the only zodiac that is not like an animal or a human. Libra is the scales. So we like to balance things. So when something's not fair, I feel like the scales are like this, and I'm just like, whoa, that is not fair on my end. And I know life isn't fair, and the world isn't fair, and people aren't fair, but I get really emotionally drained and upset when things aren't fair. And I'm not saying that as in, like, when things don't go my way. I'm saying when they're not fair at all. Like, I have no chance whatsoever. That really just emotionally upsets me. So, 9. When someone openly speaks ill of me, my natural response is to think of how I can defend myself. Big one. Huge, dinosauric, okay? When someone, I mean, that is an accurate statement of me. That describes me to a T. Because if somebody says something that's bad about me, or somebody says something that they disagree with, I'm instantly like, okay, how can I defend myself? What can I say to my defense to make it seem like I'm not a shit person that you made me out to be, but I actually have opinions, and I actually have things that are applicable and valid, because I'm not just this invalid person that you can just talk shit about. I actually, to my defense, think that some of my opinions are right. So I'm not saying that everything I say is right or everything I do is right. I'm just saying, like, I think that to some extent, some of the things that I have to say should at least be considered. 10. I circled this one because sarcasm is a trait I use in expressing humor. If you follow me on Tumblr, you would know. If you follow anyone on Tumblr, you would know that we're all sarcastic assholes. So sarcasm is a big one. That is like my humor. That is my way of being funny. I'm not saying I'm funny, but I'm really sarcastic. And in order to, when I try to be funny, sarcasm is the first thing I go for. And when there's people who can't necessarily take sarcasm, they're gonna get really offended when I speak. Like, when I open my mouth, it's just like, sarcasm just comes out of my mouth. Like, I'm a sarcasm cannon. My mouth is a sarcasm cannon. Like, it just shoots sarcasm everywhere. 11. When someone is clearly annoyed with me, I too easily jump into the conflict. Well, yeah. If somebody's, like, kind of peeved, I'm all for it. I will completely just drop everything just to make sure that I fight back. If you're annoyed with me and you tell me, and you act like peeved at me, I'm gonna give you the same short responses back. I'm gonna give you the same, like, I don't give a shit attitude, because that's just how I roll. Wow, okay. 12. At times, I struggle with moods of depression or discouragement. Yeah, I think most anyone struggles with that. Depression is very common. It's just a lot of people don't talk about it. A lot of people aren't very open about it because a lot of people don't like to admit that they're depressed or they're discouraged about something, because it opens up it's like opening up a doorway for people to come in and attack them. No one should ever tell anyone to kill themselves. No one should ever try and encourage depression. No one should ever try and make someone's depression worse. That is the lowest thing you could ever do, is try and make someone more miserable than they already are. I mean, you've seen the world. You've seen how it is out there. Why would you deliberately go out of your way to make sure someone's depressed? 13. When I'm in an authority role, I may speak too sternly or insensitively. An authority role, When I first read that, I was like, does that mean in the bedroom? Because, sorry, not sorry. But, no, it just in general, like, if I'm older than you, or if I'm, managing you in a job position, or whatever it is, I tend to do that. I tend to speak, pretty insensitively, or pretty loud, or I can get pretty riled up if I'm in charge of you, or especially, I especially think of it as like an age thing. Like, I'm older, and I know maturity doesn't come with age, but just me being older, some of the things I can say may seem too insensitive to people who are younger than me. They may be like, wow, Victoria, calm down a second. 14. I have been known to take an I don't care attitude towards the needs of others. Oops. I have, though. Sometimes I've gotten so fed up with people and so annoyed, and not just with them in particular, but with myself, or like with something that's going on, or like my mood, or like I had a bad day, so, and then I'll get in this point where I'm just like, I don't give a shit, like, who cares? And it'll happen with people that, like, I may or may not have been, like, good friends with, and they'll start, like, posting stuff, or they'll say stuff like, oh God, like, today's just not been my day, and I'm just, in the past, like, I don't really do it now, because I know it's just an asshole thing to do, but in the past I've been like, wow, who gives a fuck? Why are we complaining? You have it perfect compared to me. And then I sound like a whiny little bitch, because I'm just like, wow, I totally just minusculed your problems and minimized your problems and made mine bigger than yours, when I have no idea what you're going through. Shut up! Whatever. Like, your problems don't matter. Shut up. Quit bitching. But then I look back at that and I'm like, wow, okay, that wasn't necessary. Maybe they are going through bullshit, and I have no place to be like, your problems are nothing to mine. You're nothing to me. That's, no, don't do that. Those are my different manifestations of anger. Now, those are very different. That just goes to show that there's different ways of anger. Like, all of that is like, whoa, all that's different stuff, Victoria. You sound really random right now, but no, these are all manifestations of anger. Anger can be managed if you apply an awakened mind to it. So don't think that anger can control you. Well, it can, but don't think that it's the end of the world and that you can never manage it. Because it can be managed. You just have to open your mind and become self-aware. Because self-awareness is the biggest way to conquer anger. You have to be aware of when, hey, I'm getting kind of angry right now. Can I call you back? Or can I, maybe talk to you tomorrow? I feel a little anxiously angry. I feel a little enraged. Just be open about it. Now, I'm talking to myself too, because it's hard for me to just say, hey, look, I'm pissed off right now. Can you not talk to me? Because I don't want to come off as rude, but then again, I don't want to say something in my rage that just completely hurts their feelings. So, if you open your mind, and if you become self-aware, and if you look for your signs, and everybody's got different signs of anger. This is a question in the workbook, and it was just kind of like I answered personally. But what expressions seem to be the most common forms of your anger? So I was just talking about this. There's different things that kind of, they're like signs that you're about to get pissed off, or that you're getting there. So yeah, leave me comments, let me know. With me, now I wrote this down a little while back, but what I just said, I clench my fist, clench my jaw, I feel it in my chest, like something heavy is on my chest. I also get loud and start pacing like a crazy person. I'm just like, no, and I look for things to destroy. I literally will look for things that I can break. In the past, it's been my hand. But now that I have a punching bag, reflex bag, I can just go upstairs and just completely obliterate it and not worry about breaking anything for real. I also become, now this is how, this just goes to show the difference, the different ways. But I also become a complete recluse and feel like everything I stand for doesn't matter. Like, I'll do the whole pacing and yelling thing, but then I'll just kind of like recoil and just kind of go inside myself and just like hide from everyone, and get kind of like in my shell. And then I start feeling like shit, basically. I feel like everything I've ever stood for or everything I've ever said just doesn't even matter anymore, and that it's just mindless ramble, babble, insignificant, and I start feeling like shit. That's when the depression and just feeling down kind of comes into play with my anger. It's hand in hand. Depression and anger, for me personally, are best friends in my head, and they hang out a lot, and they plot ways to destroy me. So when I get angry, my mind just completely starts going to all the negativity, and I'm just like, I'm just a shit person, and I'm never going to amount to anything, and then I just start thinking really negatively. 3, I claim I'll stop feeling for myself and feel/do what everyone feels I should do. There's a lot of feels there, but ultimately what I'm saying is, if I get angry enough, and if I try to push my point enough, and especially if I'm in an argument with somebody, and we're completely opposite, I'm saying one thing, they're saying another thing, and I'm just getting more and more angry. So then I just go, all right, whatever, okay, sure, yeah, okay, yep, you're right, you're completely, I don't even care, yep, whatever you say, that goes, yep, I'm just gonna, nope, that's it, I feel that way too, yep, and then I get real sarcastic, I get really sarcastic, really bitter, just really like, whatever, yeah, sure, I don't care, yep, you're right, yep, okay, yep, whatever. And I get really annoyed, short-fused, yeah, and I know that can ultimately piss the other person off to where they're just like, I'm so done with you, and I'm just like, well, that's how I feel about you, so what? 4, body language. Body language is a big one with me, and like I already mentioned, the clenching, and I also like bite my lip a lot, chew on the inside of my mouth, like, I know this sounds kind of gross, but she's trying to let the puppy out, and I know that's just going to be loud and make me angry, but I know it sounds gross, but like, I will pick at the dry skin on my lips. Ew, that makes it sound like I don't use chapstick, but I do. But I'll just kind of like bite my lip until it, like, the loose skin comes up and just like pull it off. Body language, I will get really like, I'll flex my muscles, not saying I have any, but I'll get all like tense. I'll get really tense in my shoulders, my neck, my back, my neck, my back, don't you do it. I'll get really tense. Also, forced laughter and tears. That sounds pathetic. But if I'm upset, if I'm uncomfortable, I will laugh. And that's really bad because people are like, are you laughing at me? Do you think this is a joke? And I'm just like, no. It's the purpose laugh. And then I'll also cry. Sometimes when I'm so mad, I will start crying. Like just sobbing my eyes out because I literally do not know what to do. I literally have no idea. And number 5 is I get so sarcastic, it hurts. And I'm talking like, I will make you feel so stupid with my sarcasm that you will hate yourself. And then I feel bad when I calm down. But yeah, it's good to notice the hidden expressions of anger. It implies self-awareness. And that's going back to when you feel these, like, whatever you've said, what expressions seem to be most common forms of your anger, when you start noticing these, when you kind of like make your own little list and pick out of those things, what is the most common way that you express anger? If you start picking up on that, if you start noticing that, then you're going to be super self-aware and you're going to be able to handle your anger way more and kind of like warn people, like, hey, whoa, I'm about to explode here, anger is about to occur, and you need to get out of my line of fire or you're going to get hit. That was a great thing that just happened. So yeah, that was the first like little section part, and I'm gonna stop here. So stay tuned for my part 2 on anger. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys.